Okay, welcome everyone. Ian O'Brien here, and I'm sitting down with Gordon today, Gordon Drummond, and Gordon started working with me on his guitar playing a couple of years ago now. So we've been working on some stuff over a couple of years, and he's had a great journey. He's dived quite deep into the fingerstyle side of things, which I think is really an interesting area for playing. And Gordon was already playing some stuff on the guitar before we started working together. So I think he's had a really good experience, an interesting journey, and I think it would be great to hear his perspective on this stuff. So we're having a chat about it today. So Gordon, thanks for joining me.
Pleasure.
Cool, lovely stuff. And let's start with your originally. What was your motivation for wanting to play the guitar?
Ever since I was a little boy, I've always wanted to play the guitar. I got my first guitar, which was an Eros six string, a lovely brown guitar, very similar to this, way back when I was, as I say, when I was about 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly. And there was a chap in those days called Bert Weedon, who some of guitarists may well have heard of him. Bert Weedon had a booklet out. I think it was called "Learn to Play the Guitar," and in there was some songs like "Merry Happy Birthday to You" and "Merry Christmas, Everybody," and all that sort of stuff. But it was fairly basic stuff, and it wasn't interactive. You were basically teaching yourself. And so I actually took on lessons in those days. Now we're talking, when I was 16, we're talking maybe late 60s or something like that, 1960s. So it's some time ago. And there was a very important thing we've got nowadays that didn't exist in those days, and that was called the internet. So I actually I actually managed to track down a tutor, local tutor, who I went to see. But the local tutor was more interested in what he could play and less interested in what I could play. So I thought it was really like an hour of showing off to me what he could do, and less so, what I was going to do. But cut a long story short, I eventually did teach myself my very first tune. It was all open chords. It was called Universal Soldier. I don't know if you've heard of it, Donovan's Universal Soldier. And and so I taught myself that. And I remember one evening, my mum and dad had a dinner party at the house one evening. They had lots of friends over. And I said, Mummy, because I was about 16 at the time. I said, Mum, any chance I could sing and play a tune to the group here today? So she said, yeah. So anyway, so that was my first audience, live audience, as it were. And I remember being absolutely awful at playing the actual tune and awful at the singing as well. And a very good friend of my mother's came up to me about half an hour after I'd played and made a fool of myself, I felt anyway. And she said to me, "You're not very good at the singing, are you, Gordon?" So ever since then, I thought, I'll be quiet about the singing, I'll stick to the guitar. However, a few years later, I left the nest, my mum and dad's house. I stayed in an apartment in Glasgow, and I had to feed myself. And rather than go out busking, I decided to sell the guitar. So I sold the guitar, got some food, and that was it. The guitar, that was the original history of the guitar. And then in the last few years, I'm approaching retirement. And I thought, you know what, I think I'll take up the guitar again because I'll have time to do it. And I bought myself a Martin X series, dabbled with it, looked at a few internet tutors, etc. I can't remember how I managed to get into your group, the Facebook group that is,
Mhm.
but somehow I get into the Facebook group, and I started interacting with a whole load of others in the group. And I thought, hey, this is different, because everybody was very supportive. There was no people saying, oh, that was rubbish, but they were all very supportive and helped to build you up, as it were. And then, so I dabbled about with that a little while, but didn't feel as I was getting anywhere. And I'd actually, to all intents and purposes, I'd given it up completely. And then you contacted me out of the blue and said, do you want to have a chat? And I tried to put it off. I gave you some excuse about the ends of my fingers not being hard enough, and I've not been playing the guitar recently. And you said, that doesn't matter. You don't have to play the guitar. We just have to have a chat. So you and I had a chat for half an hour or so. And you talked me into, well, no, I talked myself into it, I think, actually taking on the IOM process. And that would have been 2 years ago, roughly this month. And I haven't looked back. I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Now, when I say I'm enjoying the experience, I've enjoyed interacting with you because I have a background of management development and training, working for a multinational chemical company.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to train people, how to instruct people, etc. I know the theory behind it, etc., and the different learning processes, etc. And you are one of the better tutors that I have come across. And I think I've said this to you before via email, that in terms of facilitation, I think you're excellent at facilitation. I should add this, you might want to edit this, I don't know, but I was talking to my wife before I came on here today, and I said, in the 2 years I've seen Ian interact with these students, I have never seen a negative emotional reaction. Not once have you demonstrated such. I'm sure you do have negative emotional reactions when you're not on camera, but certainly with your students, you've never had that. And that is a good trait to have. So your tutorial work is absolutely excellent, but it's also the environment that we're operating in as well, because you encourage this supportive atmosphere amongst the students. And that in itself is good, because occasionally what I've done in the past, and many others of your students, we've actually posted things on your Facebook group page, and all the positive comments that come back from yourself as well. And that, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. And probably to cap it all off, your IOM process helps people to start playing tunes quickly. And you've said it yourself, most people give up the guitar because they can't play a tune. They pick up the guitar, they can maybe put a few chords together, but they can't play a tune that they know, like, I don't know, something like Maggie May or something like that, they can maybe get their friends to sing along with. And a lot of people just give up because of that. Well, your process helps to accelerate that and encourages people and helps people to get into that frame of mind, if you wish, a lot quicker. And so I can't praise the IOM process enough, and I can't praise you enough as a guitar tutor either.
Oh, thanks, Gordon. That's great to hear. I know we've chatted a little bit over the couple of years about approaches to teaching and stuff, and I really value feedback from somebody like yourself, and I learn from you as much as you're learning from me when we're talking about this stuff as well, and the things, the challenges that crop up on the guitar journey as well.
There is a negative, I should add, Ian. There is a negative, and the negative is my wife's complaining about you because since I took up the IOM process, I've spent nearly £7,000 on guitars. So apart from that, that's the only negative.
That's amazing. Did you get one for your wife?
No, thank you. No, I want to, this is my hobby. This is my pastime, if you will. No, she spends her money, she spends my money elsewhere.
Fair enough. When we met, it's a couple of years ago, so there's been a lot of progress over that time. But do you remember where you were with your guitar playing at that point in time?
Well, before I actually joined the IOM process, I could play a very poor version of Hotel California, and that was purely by going into the web and pulling down the chords for it, because you can get, there are a number of websites where you can get chord sheets for different tunes, etc. So I could play that very roughly. I could even play poorly at the time. A Pink Floyd number. Oh dear, Wish You Were Here. I could even play that quite poorly, which is quite interesting. Starts off with a sort of Django chord sort of formation, which I didn't realise it was a Django chord at the time, by the way, but there you go. And so I could play that poorly as well. But, it wasn't exciting, and music was very staid in as much as I was playing maybe two or three tunes and nothing else was happening. I didn't understand that, there was links between chords, that, you had I can't remember the name, how you describe it again, when you move from one chord to another, but there's one finger, for example, that stays in place. I didn't realise, I didn't think about things like that. So when I was changing chords, I was lifting the complete hand off the fretboard and then going for the new chord. And in the early stages, I think, to help build up your confidence, I think you need to be able to string chords together fairly quickly. And your process actually helps with that a lot at the early stages, to help you and you do exercises going from one chord to another chord. And that's one of the strangest things. Chord playing, you think, oh, it's dead easy to move your fingers around the fretboard. No, it's not. Not until you've had a lot of practice. And then when the chords don't have what I might call joined up writing between chords, so your hand's completely moving. If you're going for maybe a bar chord from an open chord or something like that, your hand's completely changing on the fretboard. And that becomes a lot easier once in your head you've got this confidence about stringing other open chords together, I think.
Yeah, excellent. Absolutely. So you were playing two or three songs, and
Yep.
something we did a lot was really delve into the fingerstyle side of things, I think, and
Yep.
sort of specialized in that area and really went into that with some of the folk tunes and, well, broader than just folk, really. What do you remember? What was the first song that you learned a couple of years ago?
It was the 2nd of December 2021. It was Neil Diamond, Play Me. Now, you introduced the chord version of that, the open chord version of that. I can't remember what level it was, whether it was white, yellow, or orange, or whatever it was. But you ultimately did a fingerstyle version of it. And it was like a revelation to me, Ian, because I always wanted to play fingerstyle, but fingerstyle to me was you had to have a set of long nails in the playing hand, and extremely short nails on the fretboard hand. And I thought, oh right, I don't have long nails, nor do I want long nails, because it wouldn't really suit me to have long nails and doing what I do other than play the guitar. And so I thought, I've not got long nails. And anyway, you said you don't need long nails, for playing with metal strings. You don't need long nails to do that. That's a misnomer. And anyway, so you introduced me to Neil Diamond Play Me, which the finger movement for Neil Diamond Play Me is really the same for nearly every bar of the tune. And it's a really excellent first tune, and I'm sure there's others, for somebody that wants to get into fingerstyle. So I learned that, and yeah, it took me probably, before I could play it to any reasonable degree, I'll confess it took me maybe a month and a half, 2 months before I felt I could do it relatively fluent, albeit slowly, but fluently. But you have to be patient, and it's practice, practice, practice. The other thing you said at the time was take one bar at a time. Take one bar, play one bar, get used to doing it. The muscle memory will eventually pick it up, and it did. And I can remember that Christmas playing maybe the first 4 bars right up to Christmas. Anyway, but eventually I got it, and I was hungry for more. And you put me on to the Boxer, was the next one. The Boxer's a level of complexity higher, I must say. But even then, I went on to the Boxer and I managed to achieve that as well. But the Boxer, it's never been one of my personal favourites and all that sort of thing. My personal favourite that I've always wanted to play since I was at university way back when, one of the first albums I ever bought was Don McLean's American Pie. And on that was an excellent track called Vincent,
What
which
a
I
song.
thought, apart from being an excellent tune, had an excellent message as well. And I always wanted to play that Vincent. Well, cut a long story short, I can now play that Vincent. It's hard. I'll sometimes play it and I'll make a mistake, but I'm not a professional. I do it for rest and relaxation and for my own satisfaction. But yeah, I'm playing that tune Vincent now. And I built from that. I'm now playing You've Got a Friend. So I play that as well. And currently, I'm trying to learn what a pretty difficult one, and that's what I've written it down here somewhere. Where is it? It's Never Going Back Again by Fleetwood Mac. Now, it's complex, and the reason it's complex is because at one point you're mostly down here, and it's different finger style for each bar, and then you're way up here at the 10th and 12th fret. And it's not as easy to hold, and it's a bar chord, and it's not as easy to play fingerstyle when you're on, well, not for me anyway, at the 12th and 10th and 12th fret, because you've really got to hold the strings down. You've really got to put a bit of pressure on it. Otherwise, the sound doesn't come through very well. Another one I'm trying to learn is Rhiannon as well. So I've got that all written out, Rhiannon. So those two are my two current ones that I'm working on. Don't ask me to play any bars from them at the moment because I'm not ready to do that, Ian. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no, no worries.
so I mean, and anybody that wants to start finger picking, I would encourage them to do so. Try something relative to, I wouldn't say simple, but relatively straightforward, and that is something like Play Me. And you've done other tunes as well, fingerstyle, which are of the same vein in terms of it's a similar picking style for each bar,
Yeah,
and that's the way to start off. That builds some confidence in you, and you go from there.
absolutely. Yeah, great idea. Another one I recommend, because of the consistency, is Streets of London as well. Ralph McTell is a good one to ease in.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, I've got that. I've got that because you've covered that one. Yeah, but I didn't really. It didn't really enthuse me. It wasn't a tune that I felt I wanted to play. I mean, another one I play now is well, I play Blackbird as well. That's
You
Peter
mentioned that.
Blackbird.
Great.
That one of my favourites is another one of yours. Well, Blackbird was one of yours. Another one of yours was John Prine, Day Is Done.
Yeah.
Fantastic tune.
Mhm.
Simple, but fantastic. It's a lovely tune. But Dust in the Wind, Kansas, is
Mm,
another
nice.
one I can play.
Great.
Uh, I'm just trying to see what all the Blackbird, Vincent, Day Is Done, Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis, although I can play that as well. Everybody Hurts, REM. And I Love You So, Don McLean. That is a difficult one as well. So those are the sort of ones that I'm finger picking just now. And as I say, one of my favourites is Landslide by Stevie Nicks, and I like that one. I get a real buzz out of watching that on YouTube, where there's an acoustic version of it where it's Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, and it's acoustic guitar, and it's a Taylor 914 he's playing. And I don't have a Taylor 914. I thought that was a bit too expensive, so I've got the Taylor 814, and I've got this Taylor 724 here. But yeah, I mean, I got a real buzz out of watching that and saying, I can play that tune.
Yeah,
That's sad,
great.
isn't it?
No, it's excellent. I think that's a huge achievement. I think it's fantastic. A little bit off-piste, Gordon, but I wondered because you've had experience playing some Martin guitars, and on the other hand, you've had experience playing Taylor guitars. And a lot of people, when they're looking at sort of the higher end of acoustic guitars, do sometimes wonder what the differences are. What do you think the differences are?
Well, my experience of the guitars is pretty basic, probably compared to yours. But so I can describe my experience. I
Hmm.
bought a Martin X series. It was my first guitar. I think it was about £800 or something like that. It was a cutaway. All three of my guitars are cutaways, and it was good. But it was Martin strings I had on it originally. I now do all my guitars. I've got elixirs on them now. Um, they're a bit more expensive, but they're much better strings to play with. And my Martin is my Martin is my tractor guitar. It's the one I turn to more often than not. It's the cheapest one I've got. I know this sounds really, incorrect the way I'm saying things, but I mean, the Martin one was a cheap guitar, but it was a good guitar. The thing about the Taylors, however, was the thing that struck me about the Taylors was when I bought the Martin X series, I got it out the shop and I had to take it back a couple of weeks later because the setup wasn't actually correct. And it was your IOM process, or maybe during the Q&A session you do on a Tuesday night, that said that if you're on the 12th fret, if your E string, your bottom E is any more than 3 millimeters high off the fretboard, then it needs sorted. And so basically, so I took the Martin back, and the Martin improved immensely after I had it set up. Whereas when you buy a Taylor, 99 times out of 100, the setup is already there for you. So you could go into a shop and pick up a Taylor. But bearing in mind, I'm talking about a different level here because, as I say, the Martin was about £800, but the Taylors I've got are £3,500. So it's a different level, if you will.
Mm.
And the Taylors for me, just the sound for me is is probably slightly higher pitch for me, which is what I want compared to the Martins. Don't get me wrong, I think the Martins are excellent guitars, but the Taylor for me, for my finger style, I think is my finger playing is the tone it's that slightly higher pitch. I mean, I don't know music at all well. I can't read music, never have done, and I've always considered myself tone deaf. But for me, it had a slightly higher pitch and slightly sharper sound compared to the Martin that I've got. But in addition, the Taylors, I've got this new V-bracing internal design now. I don't know if you've picked up a Martin with V-bracing, but it does make a difference, the V-bracing. So I think Martin are definitely onto something as far as the inside of the guitar, as it were, and the internal design.
Nice. That's good to hear. You're you're not tone deaf, Gordon. Absolutely not. I agree with what you're saying from my observations. The Martins tend to have a little bit more of a. The people who love them describe them as a slightly warmer sound. The people who like the Taylors would describe it as a little bit muddier. So the lower range is a little bit fuller. But with the Taylors, it's brighter and clearer to the people who love them, and the people who are less sure feel it's a little bit sharper. So
Yeah,
it's in the
yeah,
top end, isn't it? But you're
yeah.
right. Martins come out of the shop intentionally with the higher strings. I don't know why they're doing it. I think their focus is on the on the sound that you get, but they do it on purpose. And I think you sometimes do have to. It's like a tradition or something. You do have to fight them a little bit. Whereas the Taylors are set with a very low action, which is, sometimes personal preference, but sometimes you're going to find it easier to do as well. It's going to be more playable in some sense.
Yeah.
But I know a
Well, I
few
mean,
people have lowered the Martin action and then they're
yeah.
sailing as well. So it's both, isn't it? Different tool for a different
And
job.
one thing I would say, and just to add, is if you want to buy a guitar, don't buy one online. Go into the shop, sit and play with it. I go to guitar in Glasgow, and I actually know the guys by first name now. I've been in and out of the place that often. But they don't mind you sitting in your corner with two or three guitars by your side, sitting in stands, and you pick one up at a time and play about with it. So you've got to get something that you feel comfortable with. I've tried a dreadnought. I can't get a dreadnought for me is just too big for me. Maybe I've got short arms, I don't know. But it sort of digs into under my arm, whereas all the guitars I've got are what Taylor classify as grand auditorium size, and they just sort of seem to fit me pretty well, you know.
More comfortable. Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's really interesting. That's great to hear. You've covered a lot of ground, which is really, really fantastic. I think you've made really, really great progress, and it's good to hear about the stuff
You haven't heard me play yet, Ian.
Say that again.
You haven't heard me play yet.
I have, but maybe everyone else hasn't. But let's do that in a moment. But I wondered what your practice looks like, because you've covered some pretty detailed and sophisticated songs in terms of fingerstyle. They're not the kind of songs that you smash out in a weekend sort of thing. They take time and they take focus and layering up and working through it, with a structured approach methodically. What does your practice look like? How many times a week are you picking it up? How long do you pick it up for?
I pick the guitar up daily. If I'm practicing a new tune, and again, this is guidance from you, the outline I have is, for example, if I was going to, if I had a session today, and I've been playing the guitar before you contacted me today, but if I was doing a normal session where I start off with a new tune that I'm trying to learn, so never going back again, I would pick up my 814, because the tune requires the E string to be wound down to a D for never going back again. So I keep the 814 permanently in that configuration, so I can just pick it up and get straight into the tune, as it were. And I would typically play Never Going Back Again poorly, but I'm improving for about 15-20 minutes, and do no more than that, and then put the guitar away, and then I would pick up one of my other guitars, which has got normal tuning, and I would start playing tunes that I can play. And I think mentally you need that, because if you're spending, say, no more than 15-20 minutes on a new tune, you'll find yourself improving even as you're playing over the 15 or 20 minutes. And the best thing to do is finish on a high after 15 or 20 minutes. Oh, that sounded better. And then move away from it and then have the fun part. And the fun part is playing tunes that you can play. So that's my typical routine. A minimum of an hour I'll play. I know this sounds boring, but I'll play Blackbird, Vincent, Day Is Done, Can't Help Falling in Love, Landslide, Dust in the Wind, Everybody Hurts. I play all my fingerpicking first, and then I'll go on to a few strumming ones like Imagine or Hey Jude, or because I'll pick up the plectrum and start playing some that you have to strum. So that's the sort of thing. But at least an hour every day, and it sounds strange, but if I don't get at least half an hour's practice a day, I get quite grumpy actually. So I've arranged a holiday, just to reinforce that. I've arranged a holiday, and I've spoken to you about this before, because I would never put one of these in an aircraft hold. Never put it in an aircraft hold. And I've talked to you about it, and you said, well, book an extra seat in the flight and take it on board with you. And that's pretty expensive. Anyway, I'm going to. I've already booked a holiday in Spain for next year, early next year, and I've already contacted a local guitar shop who are going to hire me a guitar for the time that I'm there. So I don't know about everybody else, but I'll certainly be having a good time strumming away or finger picking away and trying to play some tunes. And I'll probably take one of my music stands with me, and certainly some sheets of music as well with me while I'm away. So I'll be having a good time. I don't know about the rest of them.
That sounds magic. Yeah, great idea. Hiring the guitar while you're there. Definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Avoid the hold at all costs. It's not worth it.
No, not. I mean, it's a this to me is more valuable than the worth, the monetary worth of it.
Mhm.
And so, no, I wouldn't want that damaged. I've seen some of my luggage over the years coming out of the hold, and I thought, oh God, what state would a guitar be in after being thrown about the way these people tend to do it? And I'm sure they don't do it, purposefully, but that's just the nature of the job, I guess, that they're doing.
Yeah, it's true. I saying that the last flight I caught, they lost a bag of mine, which didn't have like super rare stuff, but it did have my capo in it. So I have to find I've got a temporary different one, but yeah, these mysteries happen. So don't let it happen to your guitars. Yeah, I don't have a shop at the moment. I feel weird.
Yeah, you put me onto these. These are absolutely,
Incredible.
absolutely, they're, they're petite, they're small, they're compact. You see some capos that are huge, big things, and you think, how on earth does that not get in your way? And yeah, for some people it probably does, but these are excellent capos.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're lovely, the shubs. Well, Gordon, thanks for this. It's
Pleasure.
really great to talk and hear your perspective on it all and your journey. Like you've done so great over the last couple of years, and your playing is has really come on. Is really lovely. Which brings me to, it would be great to share some of it. Do you want to play something?
I'll give it a bash. I'm a bit nervous, so I'll give it a bash. That's an abbreviated version, and I hope I made a couple of mistakes during that, but anyway, I was a bit nervous, as I say.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really lovely, and thanks for sharing it. Like it's beautiful playing. You've got a really lovely flow and contour to what you're doing. Like it's really consistent and has movement through it. It's not disjointed and things like it's yeah, sounding great, really great.
Well, a year and a half ago, I would never have been able to play that. So that's when I started my finger picking, 2nd of December, 2021.
Oh, there we go. You've got a date. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much, Gordon, and yeah,
You,
look forward to
you,
where your continued progress as well.
I don't mind telling you that, I mean, I've dropped off the IOM process now. And do you know what? I missed it last night. I missed the event, in my head. But you very gratefully, thanks very much for you sent me a link for the chord sheet for the song last night. So I really appreciate that. Thanks very much, Ian.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll always send you the after you've been working with me. I'll always send you the chord sheets for the songs we do. Stay in the community, definitely.
Oh, well, no question about it. No question about it. And I continue to sing your praises. I'm sorry.
All good. Oh, lovely stuff, Gordon. Thank you very much, and I'll
You,
talk to you soon.
you take care.
You too.